Hello there. We're going to be talking about this idea that money limitations are mental blocks. And this video could help you potentially find the motivation to not just earn more money, but find what it is that can help you make more money, earn a bigger income, and ultimately get yourself motivated to achieve those financial goals that you might have. And with that said, it all started when I was listening to this great Audible book. It was Maxwell Maltz with Dan Kennedy. Dan Kennedy wrote the new Psycho-Cybernetics. So, this new Psycho-Cybernetics is basically Dan Kennedy's interpretation of Maxwell Maltz's original ideas. Maxwell Maltz is no longer alive, and he wrote Psycho-Cybernetics. And just a quick intro into Psycho-Cybernetics, amazing book on personal growth development, helping you achieve your goals and all of that. The big piece of that book, we'll talk about Maxwell Maltz. The reason why he wrote that book was he started out as a plastic surgeon. He started out as a very well-known, very well-respected plastic surgeon. And from that book, as a plastic surgeon, or from that experience as a plastic surgeon, he found that there was one group of people who, after surgery, who by any measure looked attractive, looked beautiful. And with that, when he interviewed them, they did not feel confident. They felt bad about themselves. They did not feel confident. They had low self-esteem still. They felt that they were ugly and unattractive. And there was this, and by the way, like he was a professional doctor. He did the research, and he made sure he did some activities to make sure that it wasn't just him trying to like overcome his own bias, right? Like obviously a doctor who someone goes to them and says that the surgery didn't work, their plastic surgery, doctor would be either upset or offended. They would start to wonder, they would start to like say, oh well, that's not my fault. So he had to overcome that bias that he was a great doctor. He was a great doctor. And with that said, you can research about him. With that said, there was this other area as well. There's this other group of people that Maxwell Maltz did surgery on. They came out beautiful. They looked great. They looked amazing. And their levels of self-esteem increased from who they were. The levels of self-confidence, their levels of their belief in themselves increased after that. So he found this discrepancy. Like, what was the real thing? What was the real thing? And I'll talk about how this relates to money and all of that in a moment. But what is the real thing that separates this person from this person? The person who, after surgery, looks absolutely amazing, but still has low self-esteem, low confidence. And what's the difference between that person and the person who, after surgery, has confidence, has plenty of self-esteem, and goes after their life's ambitions with like just zest and zeal because they have this newfound confidence based on their looks? And what it came down to, that he found and he wrote about in his books, is the entire topic of Psycho-Cybernetics. This idea that your beliefs, your attitudes, your habits, your unconscious understanding of yourself and all of that, your self-image, all of these things come from what you do at a conscious and unconscious level. And it's not just like positive thinking. Positive thinking is a huge part of it. You've got like positive thinking, so many books on positive thinking. And he established truth in positive thinking. But even beyond that, like what activities people could do, what activities people can do to improve their personal growth, improve their confidence, improve their self-esteem. He was trying to understand what the difference was, that, what these people, the people that were, unconfident after their surgery, like what separated them. And it came down to a lot of their thoughts, their beliefs about themselves, the ways, their daily habits, their daily routines, and then he started to build on these ideas that can help people overcome those limitations, overcome those blocks, but simply by understanding what these people were doing. So with that said, what does that have to do with money? How does that help? How does self-esteem, how does physical appearance affect how we go about money? Well, whether you were ugly and you turned beautiful, and I use the term ugly loosely, I'm not trying to evaluate or judge anyone, but this is just how these people felt, or whether it's you were unattractive and turn attractive, or attractive and you're attractive now, you're not, or you don't feel you're going to be attractive. The main premise of that, which can be applied to everything, is your unconscious experience, or your conscious and unconscious experience, the things that are going on in your mind, things that are going on in your head, and how that ultimately molds who you are. And how that comes to money is all of that also affects our money as well. And here's an example from the new Psycho-Cybernetics by Dan Kennedy, where he was by Dan Kennedy's new Psycho-Cybernetics. This is a great thing that he was talking about. He was talking about athletes. He was talking about how athletes can do these amazing accomplishments, and how there's limitations, and there are real physical limitations. Like, you can't. He was of a certain age that there was probably no chance that he could play on an NFL team, or a physical athletic team, a sports team, a professional sports team, at his age, with his body, with his like current physical condition, which I don't know exactly what it was. Maybe he was in great shape, but he was just, hadn't played in many years, whatever. And then he talks about this main idea. He started talking about how there are these real physical limitations. And then he talks about like mental blocks. And there's this great idea to take away from it, because most money challenges are not physical limitations. They really are mental limitations, or they're mental blocks. They're self-doubting your ability to create plans. Because if we think about physical sports, athletes, they got to be big, they got to be strong. You're not going to be on a NFL defensive line team if you're half the size of every single defensive liner, right? So just wouldn't happen. So there isn't just a mental block there. There is a physical limitation. However, you could potentially look at it differently. As Dan Kennedy mentioned, he would see it as, well, he could potentially own the team if, he made enough money for it, or if he, built that desire, built that conscious effort towards it, if that was something he truly wanted. But at the end of the day, when it comes to doing those activities, like owning a sports team, which could potentially bring you a lot of income, or making more money in your job, or having a type of career that you truly desire, that comes from a mental block. And for the most part, 99.99% of people are not truly mentally blocked from things. Now, there are some people who may have like a missing part of their brain or something, or like a genetic change in the way their brain, in the composition of their brain. I don't know. I'm not like a neurosurgeon or anything. But 99.99% of people are people. We have emotions. We have feelings. We have beliefs and systems that we that help to mold us. So where Psycho-Cybernetics came in, and where all this money idea comes in, of money blocks, money limitations, is when it comes to making money, it's really the value you create. And if you don't agree with this, feel free to share, but it is the value that we create, the plans that we create, and our ability to influence and work with people, and to be able to create the things that people are going to want, the value that we can add into people's lives. And here's the thing. So if we consider that there are plenty of people who are not as skilled but make plenty of money, and there are people that are incredibly skilled who do not make even half as much money, then where is that gap? There is a mental block there. There's a mental block. That's really all that there can be. Is either there's maybe a physical, because they don't know the right people, or they feel like they don't have the right, they don't have the knowledge yet of the idea. But to actually obtain that knowledge, or that skill, or that ability, it's not a physical thing, because there's millions and millions of books, millions and millions of courses out there. So there's endless material. If someone can learn something, then if the other person has a desire to, or they, as I mentioned, they have more skill than this person, so they should technically know more. So where is that gap? There's a mental block somewhere. Maybe it's the belief that they are only like a handy worker, but they can't, do the thing required to make lots of money, such as, build a brand around it, right? Maybe you could, these two people, one's a very successful carpenter, the other is not a so successful carpenter, but this person happens to know a lot more, happens to be able to be much more skilled, but this person happens to be very unskilled, but is still able to make a huge brand. Where's that gap? I mean, it could be because this person marketed it better. Maybe they made a comedy video, a comedy brand out of their ability to mold and shape wood or whatever it is. And they were able to just brand themselves very well. So just thinking of these areas, like most money limitations are mental blocks. If you feel like you don't have the confidence or you don't have the ability to go talk to someone that could potentially change your career, if you feel or believe whatever it is, your beliefs, you believe that you don't deserve a raise, or you don't believe that you can earn more than $50,000 a year, or you don't believe that you deserve more income, then that is a mental thing. It's not a physical thing. Like you're gonna get run over by a 400-pound defensive linebacker who's professionally trained and has been doing this since he was, a baby, right? There's total differences there, huge differences. And with that said, you can think your way into more wealth. So let's even make this example simpler. There are very successful people, very wealthy people with a lot of money who don't feel like it's enough. And there are very unsuccessful people who, just haven't had or pursued the right opportunities in life, maybe made some poor decisions in the past, who also never feel like there is enough. And then there are also people who are very successful who constantly give it all the way and always feel like there's enough. And then there's people who are, struggling by, most people, if people were looking from the outside in, they would think that they're struggling, but they constantly feel like they have just enough. And maybe they need the feeling of they would want more. But anyway, that's a whole different topic. But just thinking about these dynamics, right? All these different dynamics, where does it come from? Ultimately, it comes from mental blocks, these personal beliefs. And it might just be blocks. If you feel like you have enough at $35,000 a year, then that's probably all you're going to earn. Now, if you could be happy with $35,000, then that's fine. That's different. But if you're in that mentality of, well, I'm comfortable here, this is all I need, this is all I want, then that's what you're going to get. But if you could be happy at the same time, but also say, hey, it would be great to have all of this amazing stuff as well. I would love to have all of these other things, and I can have it and all that. That's a completely different reality you're creating for yourself. And that is a huge takeaway from the new Psycho-Cybernetics. This idea that money limitations are mental blocks. Now, let's say you need $1 million to go buy a yacht. Yes, there's a physical limitation right there that you can't get $1 million to get that yacht right away, or that $1 million to upstart your business. But that could also be the mental limitation of, why do you need $1 million to do that experience or to create that company when you can start building it small? But anyway, and then looking at that yacht, how about what is the necessity of buying the yacht when you can rent the yacht? And if it's for a business, say the necessity is for a business. Well, you come up with a business plan, and you come up with those thoughts, those ideas, those plans to overcome that mental limitation that you're not good enough, that it's not a good idea or whatever. And then you go look for potential business people that are willing to invest in that. And that's just one idea there. But this can be expanded into every area. I literally just made that up. But this can be expanded into every area, because when you want to achieve that financial goal, that money goal, yes, there are physical limitations. There are some physical limitations, but most of the goals that are tied to money, most of the things that you want to achieve that are tied to money isn't just the money itself. It's what you're going to be able to do with that money, what you can achieve, what you have to do to get that money, what you have to do. So with that said, there's a lot of personal mental blocks that we place on ourselves, and they might even be good. Like, well, I'm happy to be happy at $50,000 is what one person might say. But another is saying, I'm happy to be happy at that, but I still also want to keep going because it makes me happy to keep earning more and more money for whatever reason. Now, with that said, at the core level, so maybe you're saying, oh, well, money isn't everything, and that maybe that could be a money limitation. Just consider a money block. Just think about how that potentially limits you. I'm not saying it's a bad thought. I'm not saying it's negative. I'm not saying that this is something that is something that you should get rid of, right? Maybe you truly are comfortable in that. That's absolutely fine. But just consider how all of this stuff interacts with each other, how even positive or negative ideas can start to interact with each other. And all of these, even neutral seeming ones, things that seem to protect you, things that you feel motivated for, can potentially be something that limits you, especially when it comes to money and finances. I mean, there's everything from not feeling like it's enough to always feeling like it's enough to having the belief that you can earn more, that you're deserving of more, to having these beliefs of what it means to have a lot of money. Like, there's this idea that Hollywood has created through the movie Scrooge. We all know Scrooge. We see Scrooge as like this guy, this evil city guy who was so rich, who could help so many people, but all he did was keep his stash of gold in the bank. Or he kept it in like a safe. But here's the reality is, no one, unless they're born with it and they just take all their parents' money, they steal all their parents' wealth and they hide it in a safe somewhere and never spend it. Most people can't, like, how did he even survive? How did Scrooge survive? He had to pay people in the city. He had to give money to some people within that city. Like, you can't survive. There was no internet in that movie, so it's not like he could buy from out of state or anything. So nothing about that movie like literally makes sense. I think it was just this thing that Hollywood created, and I think the ultimate message is the joy of giving is very good, as opposed to some people might take away from it as hoarding money is bad. And hoarding money can be bad, but with that said, most people see it as, oh, Scrooge is evil, so making a lot of money must be evil. And Hollywood influences us a lot, but very successful movie, very famous person. But what is it really saying? And how does that mold our reality? And all these other films about people and money and thinking about what it really means, like the evil banker, or the ruthless CEO with no soul, or like the evil biotech company founder. And we have all these illusions that have been put on us, because how many of us have actually spoken with real CEOs? How many have actually been in meetings with them? I mean, this is all like news and media. I was just working on a TV show the other day, an upcoming TV show, and I was working in a place, like it was a made-up control room, like a television control room that you might see on an NFL, like as a NFL or something like that. There's a control room with all those buttons and people in there that are watching all the different screens. And when I was in that room, I realized that I would have no clue if any of this is right, except for if I had seen it on television. I had an idea of what it should look like because I saw it on TV, but I had no idea what to do. I had no idea what buttons to push, but I could definitely fake it because I've seen it on television. But at that moment, I realized I'd never ever stepped foot inside one, but somehow I had an idea of what it would be like. So just thinking about that experience, how can you relate that? How many experiences with business people, wealthy people, nice people, kind people, greedy people, how many experiences with those people have you truly had? Most of us don't really know for sure. Most of us haven't had that many. So thinking about how those beliefs, those experiences, and not just our real experiences, but the experiences that we get from film and television, movies, and news articles and all of that. Yes, some news articles and media tell a true story, but on top of that, I mean, thinking about Scrooge, right? Nobody makes a fortune just hoarding it in a safe somewhere. You have to invest in companies. You have to buy businesses. You have to put your money to work for you to have it grow tremendously. You have to invest in the people around you. You have to put money into the local area that you live in. You have to pay for the waiters, the servers, the retail stores, the mom and pop shops, the local car dealership, the local leasing companies, real estate company, tax person, the IRS people, all of that. You have to pay all those things locally. You can't just keep it in a safe somewhere. I mean, there probably is someone there, but in order to truly grow it so that you never run out is the true power, the true ability of someone who's very wealthy and successful. And with that said, if you have this image of Scrooge as someone who stores all his money in a safe somewhere, but the reality is completely different, how does that affect what it means to make a lot of money? How does that affect your money blocks? How does that affect your personal money limits? So with that said, thank you for watching this video. Be sure to check out those resources, the new Psycho-Cybernetics. Read the book and listen to the audio of the original Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz. Also, consider watching those movies or thinking about how to tackle some of those limiting beliefs you might have had or those money limitations. What are your personal money limitations? And some good books to check out on that. You Are Badass at Making Money by Jen Sincero. Amazing book, amazing author, and she's probably one of the funniest. Like, I would call her the money therapy comedian. Like, if you need a book or the money coach comedian, if you need a book that helps you tackle your money negative experiences with money or whatever, that's an amazing book. And she's hilarious. She's probably the funniest person that's written a book on that topic that I've read so far. So that money, You Are Badass at Making Money, Jen Sincero. And another great book that I've been reading, Inner Size by John Assaraf. John Assaraf, Inner Size, it goes down all the way to like the core of your money beliefs and gives you the exact tools of how to do it. So Jen Sincero, her book is like a coaching question. Like, if you had a coach in front of you and you could like have him talk to you, that's who you would want in front of you, helping you with your money beliefs, your money blocks, your money limitations. But if you had someone helping you that had like things that could help you get down to the core, the foundation, the subconscious, and really like help you dig in and figure out what your money limitations are through books and products. Like, you didn't really want to have a coach or whatever, but you just wanted the tools, you wanted the how, you wanted to know exactly what to do and step by step, then Inner Size is an amazing book that helps you tackle all that. And all of these things that I mentioned can potentially help you earn more money, because money, again, the things that you need to do to earn money, the things that you need to think about, the things that you need to plan to earn money, the things that are stopping you are not physical. No one is literally physically stopping you from doing that. There's no opponent or physical opponent in front of you. It's a mental limitation. It's a mental block, a block that you've either created for yourself or that you might just be holding, that has just grown and grown over many years, that has prevented you from going after what it is that you truly want and your financial goals. And with that, thanks for watching this video. Be sure to check out those resources. Again, I'll list them one more time. That's the new Psycho-Cybernetics. You probably get that in Audible, and I think it's a course, so you might only be able to get that in a Audible form. The original Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz, Audible, and a book version. There's You Are Badass at Making Money by Jen Sincero and John Assaraf's Inner Size. Amazing resources to help you tackle all that. And I wish you success in your money goals and prosperity, and have a great day.